today, it's actually the thing why I set up this course. And at the very beginning, when I planned this course, I thought that this is the most important thing to teach you. And well, now it's like kind of the last thing that you do, because I figured to be able to realize and rip the gains from this, you need to have gone through all of the other things. So I've told this story a couple of times, but I just want to reiterate once more, right? Like this project, when I worked on my PhD, it doesn't replicate. I have all the code, but I just don't know how to run it. There are so many versions of the same files, and they're called like version 1, version 2, version 3. I don't know what is the final thing that I ran. And there are like at least 20 versions of my data set, and I don't know which data set I used. So it's really a mess, right? And this last little thing that you need to learn to be able to tie everything together that you're doing when you work on research is automation, right? So we were talking about input, transformation, and output parts of your script, right? At the beginning and top of the script, you load stuff. Then you work on stuff, you transform stuff, you create some new stuff. And at the very end of your script, you like spit it out, right? And what we're going to do today is we take whatever was spitting out and pass it on to the next script, and actually tell these two scripts that they're interlinked and that there are dependencies. First run downloading the data, then only run the data preparation. And then try to run 5 analyses and then wrap up everything in a report. Now you change something in the source data, and your pipeline will be able to replicate all of these steps. I just got this this paper getting closer to acceptance at a journal, and I did this exact same thing. So I was cleaning up my directories, and then I made sure that all of my processes still automate. So it's something that's of high practical relevance. So the way I have thought about this session is that I'll provide you with a walkthrough of today's tutorial, which is start learning make. So actually we take a final product, like a final project. It's very simple. And then we're going to automate these things. I don't know whether you've done this tutorial and whether this is your preferred way. There are different ways in which to do this. Another way is also that I'll walk you through a more advanced tutorial, which we have on Tilburg Science Hub. This is already a working make routine, but probably it doesn't work anymore and we'll have to fix it. And you'll learn a bit about text mining on the way. So, it depends a bit on what you do, but I suggest we start with this basic stuff. But I need to know, how far are you? And I don't have a poll, didn't have a time to create a poll today. So give me some ideas of where you stand. Who has worked on this tutorial that I was just showing, like this one? Can you indicate me your preference, or do you actually want me to issue a formal poll? Can I actually edit the polls? I can't add an edit poll. All right. Really want me to issue a poll? All right. So what is it that you want? Let me just see. Untitled poll. I'll have a poll. What are we gonna do today? You can still use the chat. So I want the basic make tutorial. I want the advanced make tutorial. Okay. As you seem to, okay, I'm saving the poll, and now I should be able to actually use this poll. There we go. Welcome to your untitled poll. Tell me what you want. That is like so crystal clear. Amazing. I love it. All right. So what I want you to do is I want you to, all right. There are a couple of guys who need project feedback too. Put your question in the chat. I'll review that question and see where it fits, right? Those that want the advanced tutorial, and those, if you're already very good, what you guys could do is you could go in a breakout room and together work on this tutorial. You know, just put on this chat and probably you'll hit some walls and you can help each other solve it. And if you're facing problems, you just return back to the main hall and ask these problems. I would just say, we'll do it this way. Okay. So if there are some people who want to do the advanced, really, really fun thing, I'll open a room for you guys, which, which is this room, and we'll name it advanced make files. And I'll open it up so you can join that room, and the link that you guys can work on is that stuff. Good. Amazing. So let's get started with learning how to use make. So go to the site, which I will put in the chat right now. This one. And download the tutorial. Right click, download linked file as, and just create some random folder on your disk, which I already did, and put the file in there. Whenever you need me to move slower or you have a question, I'll try monitoring the chat. If I don't see the chat, just unmute yourself. If you can't unmute yourself, somebody else can unmute himself or herself and tell me to stop and, you know, spend a little more time explaining these things. Okay. So we've downloaded this thing. Just like do this now and go to your folder and open this tutorial. Well, maybe it's enough to just like knit it and view it. I'm not sure. Maybe we can just do it. Oh, I don't have the knitting. Actually, maybe it's enough to just like view it. Okay. Actually, it looks like we can just view it. Sorry, guys. All right. So where this tutorial starts is that we're going to download some source code. Maybe this is what we should do. And that's here. This is the source code of a project. It's stored as a gist, just like not a full repository, but it's like a code snippet that you could just like copy paste. The way I copy paste from this is just by clicking on raw up here and Control A or Command A and copy. And I'll copy this to a new file in R. New R script, and I'm just copy pasting this. Alternatively, what you can do is you could just like click on right click and say download file as or something like this. This will probably also get you there. So the most important thing though is that you save this file and it sits somewhere in the directory, and I again put this somewhere of where I wanted it to have. So that's my research project. There's a typo, so I'm renaming the file research project. Okay. Is doing git clone the same? No, it's not. So when you do git clone, Wouter, what happens is that you sync it, like it knows it comes from this repository. But later on, we may make this a new project, right? We'll call this, I don't know, my most amazing COVID analysis project, and you want to put it to your Git, but then it already has like a Git origin. It knows like, hey, I'm from this Git repository, which is like not what we want. So I just downloaded it. Good question, by the way. So this is a project, and before running it, I just want to make sure that that I'm in the right directory. So when I run get wd, get working directory, you realize actually I'm still like not in the folder of this file, right? I'm in like dPrep team 16 from like the last time I looked at your stuff. So my working directory is not correct. So what I'll do is click on session, set working directory, and then I click to source file location. So I'm sure that now I'm in this folder where this source file is also located. Okay, and I'm actually pointing my stuff here to go to working directory, and now I'm in here. Let's run it, right? I mean, and the most stable way, or let's say most way that is most likely to throw up errors, so that's good because we want to know whether it works, is to source the file. So we don't mark everything and press Control Enter, but just click up on the source here, and it runs the whole source code with everything. If there's an error, it will just stop. So it's good, right? We want to check whether things work. It's downloading data apparently. And well, now we have a bunch of data and some plots that we can take a look at. We see, you see these files being populated up here. So the project has essentially executed. Let me see, can I open this? Not here. So I'll go through my directory and, I can look at this plot all, and I have like some amazing plots of like review counts. I have plot Antwerp, whatever that means, effect of COVID-19 pandemic. So let's just think this is our research project. And that's what many of you guys would have done maybe before you joined this class, right? You have like a script, and at the end of your thesis, you'd be like happy if it runs through, right? But, suppose you want to continue working on this project and extending it, it's, it hits boundaries, because maybe the script will not run like a minute, but it may take like, I don't know, it may take like 10 minutes or 1 hour or 2 hours to run. Joanna can tell you all about this because she has already written one of her theses with us. So, processing time is a lot. So what we're going to do is we're going to break this down into small components. And actually, I will actually look at my tutorial again to just make sure that I'm giving you the right story here, right? So you can run it remotely, but right now we want to automate things and tie things together. And okay, I see what this step is, right? So the first thing that's kind of missing is an instruction on what to run. And I will create a new file. I'll call this, well, it's not an R script. So let me store it as an R script first, but I'll show you what I do, right? This will be a make file, and I'm gonna call it a make file in a real bit. And a make file always works as such. You tell what needs to be built, and then you use a colon, and then you say what it depends on. So think of this, the ingredients. And then some programming code, this is tab, some programming code that runs stuff. A makefile always looks like this, right? And I will make the most simplest makefile for you guys, all right? By looking at this research project and just looking at what is being built. We're building plotall.pdf. Let's just suppose that this is our final product. This is like all the plots. So what is it that we want to build? It's plotall.pdf. What do we need to build this? Well, we need a file, namely research project. Research project.r. And how can we run this? Well, this is a bit of like terminal knowledge here, and I'll actually navigate to this terminal, and I'm opening a new terminal because no, I'm still not here. So I navigate to this project, cd Hannes, where is it? ls cd downloads, I think, cd dPrep 30 September. Okay, now I'm in this thing. I can run this research project also from the command line by writing r script. And actually I will have to cheat a bit, or maybe like this. I think this is how you run stuff from the command prompt. Oh, file name is missing. Let me see. Script vanilla. Maybe it's R vanilla. Let me see. Yeah. See, now I'm running this project without even opening R because I can run R from the command line. You know, every time I'm running this command, so I'm pasting the command in the chat. So if you run this, you'll see this output. If you get an error message, let me know and we'll fix your error message, right? I run and run and run and run. Now, suppose it takes 2 hours to run this script and you don't know, oh, did I update something or not? Well, you know, that's annoying and it costs you a lot of time, right? So we'll introduce a makefile. So again, we're building plot all PDF. We need the research project. And how do we run that stuff? Well, remember what I put in the chat just now. For whom does it not work? By the way, put it in the chat. Tab R -- vanilla, which kind of means give me a clean session of R and run researchproject.r. And I'm kind of commenting this out because this is not a proper makefile. And I'm saving this thing as makefile without a file extension. See, oh, it's called makefile.r. I don't want this. So I'm renaming this file and I'm wiping this .r thing. It's just a makefile. See, now it gets also the code highlighting. Yeah, I'll fix this error, Sabine. Can you prep for TeamViewer, please? Good. I'll give you it again. So, well, if you've done this step so far, and you're now typing make, oh, makefile missing separator, up. Maybe it's this. I'll just kick out the rules. Let me see whether this make the missing separator. What did I do? No, it works. I did like 2 taps, tap. By the way, I will start sharing this entire folder on Dropbox. So all the changes that I do, if you want to copy paste, you can just like view the stuff live somewhere and you can just like copy paste. Okay, I think that makes more sense. So let me just do fiddle dprep. I have like, I will never be able to actually know what I did in this thing. So anyways, copy Dropbox link. I think that should be it. I'll put it in the chat. So here you can view all my coding. And what I do is I actually close this, don't save, and I reopen this whole thing in this directory. Okay, so now if you want to copy paste, you have the opportunity to do so. Let me see. Sorry, this is a little confusing, but it may make it easier for some people. Okay, again, I'm in the terminal and I'm going to fix this thing. I just want to finish this final explanation here. So, and I need to go to this, I need to go to this folder again. So I am in CD Dropbox. Shit, where is this CD? Where's my Dropbox on this thing? This is not it. CD Dropbox, CD Tilburg, CD Fiddle. Okay, here I am, dPrep 30. Okay, what I was doing here is, I'll need your password. Send it to me privately, by the way, Sweden. If you write make, it doesn't run your script anymore. It just says, hey, you haven't changed any of the inputs and plot all is up to date, so you're good, you're done. So again, you write make and it realizes there's nothing else it needs to do. Okay, and now I will actually pause the recording and fix the installation error of Sabine. Just a second. So if you run make, it knows it's up to date. Now let's just pretend we're changing something and say like, well, now we actually only want 2016 data onwards, and we are saving Control S, and we're typing make again. The whole script again is going to be executed because it has realized something has changed. We're typing make again and it's good. It's done, right? But that's not all. This is just the beginning, right? So now we have figured out a way to run the whole script if it needs to run because it has been updated or not. But it's a little inefficient that, I just changed, the dates from like 2015 to 2016, that it still downloads all the raw data. Actually, it doesn't make so much sense, right? So why don't we start splitting up our pipeline into small components like you've always done, right? Download data, prepare data, and these kind of things. And I'll do this right away. So I'll have a little R script, and I just copy this whole downloading data thing to this script. Just take it out. New file, download data, that's it. And I call this file download data.r. It should come in here too, download data.r. So we've taken it out, and now we need to tell makefile how to handle this data. So we have a new rule, which is we want to download reviews.csv and listings.csv. What do we need? Well, we need download data.r. How to download this data? Well, run R, something with vanilla, because I don't know why they call it vanilla, and then call the download data script. Well, to build plot all, well, let's try to run this for now, all right? So make, it's downloading the data. And typing make again, and it says, hey, reviews is up to date, nothing to be done. So we've downloaded data programmatically. But, somehow something is not working because the PDF, is not produced. Suppose I delete these PDF files and then run make again, nothing is happening. Well, this is because make only will execute your first rule and all the rules it needs for this, but nothing else. So let's just define an all rule and say, well, at the very end, I want to have a plot all PDF. Now make will come and say, oh, we want to build plot all PDF. Oh, how do I build plot all PDF? Oh, let me find the rule. Okay, it's here. I need to run research project. And how do I do it? Oh, I run it like this. This is how it kind of works. So I'm typing make again. Now I get my report again. See, it's producing plot unverb and plot all. Let me delete the data now. Does it still work? I'm typing make again. It says, well, I don't have to do anything because plot all is already there. But I have deleted my input data. That's weird, right? Well, think about it. To be able to run plot all, we need the source code, but we also actually need to tell the code that it depends on having access to reviews.csv and listings.csv. Hey, there is no analysis to run if there is no data to run it on. And now the code will realize, well, in order to build plot, this file needs to be checked, but also reviews and listings need to be present. Well, they're not. I don't find them. So how do I build them? Well, oh, here it is. I need to download the data. See, it's like an iterative process of constructing the dependencies of your project. Well, think of this as this. Delete everything that you've done so far, except the make file and research project and download data. Think of this as your GitHub repository, and you are just running make on this. And now the whole project will build just like before, but in 2 steps. And if you're changing anything in your research project, for example, you use 2016 data and run make again, I use make-n now, you get actually a list of the rules make will have to execute. And make now tells me, well, I just have to run research project to be up to date again because nothing has changed. So if you run make now, it will just do this research project like this. Now, let me change something in the data by not taking and verb as data, but maybe Gent? Is this how you write Gent? I don't have a clue. Gent? How do you write Gent? Guys, help me. Like this probably, right?
In Dutch, I believe without H.
Oh, Gent.
But in English, I don't know.
Okay, thank you, thank you. Let's try whether that works, right? So make, and now make n as a preview. Well, to download this data, something has changed here. So I need to download that data because I want now Gent data, and then I run my research project. It shows as if it has to run it twice because it has two things that it builds. So it thinks it needs to run it twice, but it will only run it once, right? So let's run make. And well, we get an error because probably the data is not on Gent. So we have unverb, maybe Brussels, maybe, I don't know. Can we do this? Brussels, make. Not found. Yeah, I don't know what cities you have and how they're called. Can you look up the correct link? Give me like a link from a different city. Somehow it doesn't work now. Put it in the chat if you find it. But right now, like as a preview, I changed these files, switched it back to unverb, by the way. So it figured something has changed. And when it runs, it processes the whole data again, right? So now we have a system in place where only the things that need to be run will be run. Think of it like downloading your raw data, right? It may take like 10 minutes to download your gigabytes of raw data. You don't want to download this all the time. You just want it to download it when it has changed. So that is the system in place. And this tutorial kind of now asks you to split up more things in small scripts. This is cleaning data, but you know, the pivot table and the plotting can also be split up in different files. And you know, I'll just do this now and we'll walk through these dependencies. So that's pivot table. I'm just like taking this out and call this pivot. I don't know, what is it doing? It's like export pivot. Let me just call this export pivot.r. What we got else? We got plot unverb. New R script. I call this plot unverb. And then what else we got? We got plot all. New script. This is plot all.r. So now everything really is split, and we can continue with you know, specifying our make file, because right now actually nothing is being built because the research project saves a file called aggregated data, but it doesn't really produce this plot. So probably when you run this over and over again, make will still, yeah, I still need to run this rule because I haven't rebuilt this plot. So we need to build up our pipeline more. And the way that you would do this is to go to this file and actually check what is the output that this file builds. Well, it's aggregated df. So I'm going to change this in the make file. Say like, okay, actually this is not producing this anymore. Aggregated df is being produced out of this. So I run, nothing needs to be done because I'm fully up to date. Remember how we proceeded from there? I think after this aggregation was done, the aggregated df was done, we want to do an export of the pivot table. Okay, so what is the input? The input is aggregated df, and we're writing a pivot table.csv. So to build pivot table, we need export pivot.r, and we need to have access to the CSV file, which is input to this file. How to build it? Well, R, I love vanilla ice cream, export pivot.r. Save. Run make again. Nothing will be done. It won't be executed. And why is that? Well, because we haven't told make to build pivot table CSV. So let's just add it up here. And like this, you're gradually going to test your project. And the power really comes from discovering new mistakes. So for example, we get an error message now. It doesn't know how to run this command, this piping character. Well, we look at this pivot thing, you'll actually see that we haven't loaded our libraries. So maybe tidier does the thing, I don't know. Dcast can be fun, so maybe also dplyr. You know, it was there in this research project up here, but you know, I hadn't used it. And reshape 2 we need to. So I think this will do it. So now this file processes. I'm typing make again. I preview what I need to run, nothing. It's all built, so perfect. So I can move on. What are the other files in my project? I have plot Antwerp. So let's check this out. So we got pivot table. It needs this pivot table, okay? And it will produce a PDF with plot Antwerp.pdf. So again, next rule. I want to build plot Antwerp. What do I need? I need plot Antwerp.r, and I also need this pivot table as an input. How do I run it? R vanilla plot Antwerp.r. Are you tagging along? How is this going? Tell me about it. Jeremy, you're smiling. Are you lost, or are you?
Yeah, I am lost.
Okay,
I'm
good.
just watching to catch some knowledge about it. But yeah, I have to do it myself, I guess, to really
Yeah, I mean,
understand
this is always the case. Like doing things. Why are we doing this, Jeremy?
Yeah, to understand how to use it.
Yeah, but why do I teach you this? Why do I think it's useful? Can you like recap?
Well, it's a good way to structure at least all the files in your repositories, and I guess also to share data with other people.
Yeah, but the
Share your
really
files.
key, yes, but the key thing you haven't mentioned, this is that tool that will make you run all of your code much faster and test new things. All right. Like, hey, how would my results look if I did it on Gent? Just like change it to Gent, and now it didn't work because I didn't paste the right URL. Just type make and watch it happen. That is the real power of why we do these things. It's less about sharing, less about the other things that you've mentioned, but it is mostly about the productivity of running your entire pipeline. Because now, at no cost, you can clean up your code, right? Try whether we can clean up packages, for example, like, do I really need tidier? Well, I don't know. Okay, let me just try it out, save, make. This is a oh, it still runs. Oh, so I like accidentally loaded tidyverse. All right. Does it also run if I, you know, try with 2020 data? Does this work? I don't know. And how do the results look anyways when I do this? Well, look at plot Antwerp and you get it only for 2020. See, this will enable you to, like, I don't know, it's like almost like firing up a booster rocket like on your project, because now you can iterate much faster and try out things at like zero cost. You with me on this? I hope. So
yes, I am. Yeah, I see that's very handy.
Yeah. And it's more than that. It's handy. Yes, it's handy. The thing is, at this stage, you have only worked on projects whose complexity you can still manage. But when you really do these things, you will hit boundaries where the complexity is just too much. Think again about my research projects. And that's also kind of the level of where you're heading when you go into a firm. These are all the different number of code files that I have to run to build my data sets. It's just too much. And I just don't have the time to remember, first run this and this or that. Plus, I may pause this project for 2 weeks and then I just forget about these things because my brain is not like able to handle this. But because everything is codified, I just don't have to worry. Like my co-author this morning said, like, hey, how did we classify playlists again? I was like, I don't remember. So I looked at classified playlist. And then he said, like, can you change this to like 20 tracks? Because actually in this presentation, people thought that 10 wasn't a good cutoff. You know, I'll just have to change it here and run it. And that's it. Not worry about anything else. That is where it comes from. Okay. So I would suggest that I'll quickly finalize this pipeline. I think there's just like a few steps that I need to do, and that we then take a break, and then I'll take questions so far, and then we can do a couple of things. And one thing is like making this even better, for example, by introducing proper directory names, right? Source generated data. Because this is ultimately also what we need, or we can do a little Git thing, but we'll figure it out. So I will just complete this for another like 5 minutes, and the code is on Dropbox anyways. I put the chat, I put the folder, like this Dropbox folder, all this also in the chat. So if you haven't been able to write code yourself, you could also just download the code up to there and then start tagging along with me again after the break. So we got plot, but we also want to build plot all, and to build plot all, let me look at the file. Well, it needs aggregated data as an input. It also obviously needs plotall.r, and how to run it, vanilla plotall.r. And I also specify way up that this is a final product that I want to be built. Actually, I can take out this aggregated df from here, because aggregated df will be built anyways when I build plot all, right? Because it's a dependency to plot all. Same with pivot table. To build plot unverb, it needs pivot table, and I've told this makefile how to build pivot table. Give me some names. This is main build rule, and this is like sub builds. Make. I still got some errors, so in plot all, I need to still load packages. So let me do this: library dplyr, library ggplot2 maybe. I don't know what I need. Maybe just dplyr make. Yeah. No, it's all good. So I would suggest we go on a break, take a 10-minute break or so. If you need 15, put 15 in the chat. And what you can do during the break is just like take a break and download the current content of my Dropbox. I'll put the link in the chat real quick. If you need 15 minutes, put 15 in the chat. Otherwise, it's going to be a 10-minute break. And then after the break, we'll continue from here and see what you need. All right. 15 for coffee. Amazing, Jonna. I don't know whether you're the majority or not, but you've just won this election. So 15 minutes. And I'll be here for questions after 5 minutes, because I grab a coffee too. Thanks so much. So welcome back to the second part of today's live stream on automation. And what we've done before the break is that I walked you through a step-by-step kind of live demonstration on how I automate things. In R, it's an iterative process. That's maybe the most important thing that you should realize. So it's not that you write one beautiful makefile. You're almost doomed to fail if you do that. You need to do it in steps. Start with the first thing in your project that needs to be built. Move it to make. Go with the next one. Try to build it. Define the dependencies, the input files that are required, and so forth and so on. And like this, you can build, you can automate your project. I don't start, well, actually, to be honest, I start automating my projects quite early on. So, as soon as I have my first file or the first 2 files or so, I use make, because that way I always know what to run. So now it's a little bit up to you. So one thing that we could do is we could, play around with what we've done, because there are tons of other things that we could do, right? I mean, it's a mess, like, because we haven't separated inputs and outputs. from each other and data. There's no data folder. We could sync it up with GitHub. And actually I will end this poll because I've done this poll and I'm trying to initiate a new poll for you guys, which is, and I need to log in, of what we want to do next, because after all, this is for you. I don't have a pre-planned show for you today. So let me see. Next things. Okay. Directory. Let me see. Just a second. Give me a second. I'm just typing. Good, here we go. And I'm launching the poll as we speak. So these are my ideas. If you have different ideas, let me know. And I'm happy to accommodate. Good. So your vote is clear. Then I'll continue with this. What do I do with these two advanced users? I mean, guys, I open up this breakout room. You could just like join this room and start trying it. Maybe I give you like a little preview on what to expect, okay? So, and then you guys can go to that room and I'm happy to help you. So we got this tutorial for practicing pipeline automation in Make. It's on Tilburg Science Hub. And we move the sharing bar up. So if you click on this little icon and you put it to the chat, you get a really cute URL. It's like not like a long URL, but it's a more, shareable URL. So you can do that to share stuff with each other. So what do we do in this tutorial? Well, it's a pipeline where you see another way of having like a cool directory structure. But most importantly, this is actually the preview. So you're downloading data sets from Twitter. Actually, I think these are tweets from Fortnite, about the game Fortnite. You'll learn how to automatically unzip this. Then this data will be parsed. It's like raw JSON data. So if you're like into API stuff in ODCM, this really is for you because you have to deal with JSON objects. And then it's enriching all those tweets with like sentiment scores by using the Python package text blob. It's like automated text analysis. And then it produces in our Markdown report. And the package runs, right? The only thing that you need to do is, where is it? Type make. It's somewhere in here. And then it runs, but then you'll modify this thing. You're adding more tweets, you're adding a different game data set and so forth and so on. And throughout, you're gonna learn like how to expand that. So this is more advanced, but it's like really fun. And the cool thing is too, it's tying together R and Python. And you're like, wait a second, this is a course in R, right? Why do I want to tie different things together? Well, the reason is that sometimes Python is better and sometimes R is better. Sometimes even a different software toolkit is better. And now we rid ourselves from just using R, because in a make file, it doesn't matter what we call. We can call R and R produces some outputs, but we can call Python, which reads the outputs from R, processes it, and spits it out as another CSV file that now again can be taken by R, right? It's like whatever you find on the web, you can now tie things together. So that's what you can do. And by the way, I put the link only to Astrid, which I didn't mean to. So here is the link. If you want to work on this, go to a breakout room, get comfortable and just work through this. And, in half an hour or so, you can come back and we can discuss your questions, or you can just shoot them in the way. So breakout room, advanced make files is open. So please join that if you'd like, these two students who have indicated they want this. All right. And with the others, I'm going to continue on cleaning up this thing, right? So actually, the first thing that I'm doing is I'll turn this thing into a proper GitHub repository, because I'm just like so afraid of like making a mistake and deleting stuff that I want to roll back anytime. Actually, that is the most essential thing that I do. And how I turn this into a GitHub repository typically is by, let me think about it. Git init. Git init. If you run this on the terminal, it turns your directory in which you are into a GitHub repository. That's it. Now you can run Git on it, like Git status. But you know, you're not like the command line folks, I guess. So I want to do this in R itself. So I will also turn this whole thing into a proper R project by clicking on File, New Project, Existing Directory. And I'm just using this directory, which I am, Create Project. And now R automatically realizes, oh, Jesus, I think this is a GitHub repository. It knows this already. So I get this little Git tab. And at the very beginning, I just archive all the things that I want to be archived. What needs to be archived? Just the code. That's it. Git ignores code, tells me on what Git shouldn't be tracking, download data, export pivot, make tutorial RMB. This actually doesn't belong here. Make file, plot, R, research project. That's it, I think, right? So I'm committing this and initialize GitHub with source code. There you go. Close. Many files still show up. And you know, at this stage of working with this, I want to make sure that I never archive any PDF file, never archive any CSV file. This is data. Or like storing data on Git is evil because it's meant to store source code. And it's not having a lot of storage space for you. So I'll open the git ignore and I type in asterisk, asterisk, CSV, asterisk, asterisk, PDF. And I save this, and now you see these files go away, right? The only thing that remains is make tutorial, but frankly, I don't need this anymore because this actually doesn't belong to this thing, right? This was just today's tutorial, so I'm deleting this file. And then, ooh, did I archive this before? No. And then I have dPrep, the project, and I'm storing this. Commit, and then exclude PDF and CSV, include project file. That's it. Maybe at this point in time you realize, but you know, I didn't do anything on GitHub, so why can I archive stuff? Well, the reason is that Git is really separate in a sense from GitHub. You can have a local GitHub repository that never gets synced up with the cloud with GitHub, right? And that's what I'm doing right here. But you can also sync it up. So as this final step for those 6 people who voted for it, I'll show you how to sync it up. So just navigate to GitHub, go to your user profile, and up on the upper right corner, go to repositories, and you could just click on the new repository. No template. This is fiddle dprep, which is reproducible app dprep, make files, and example repository to automate research pipeline. I'll make it public, and I click on create a repository, and now you get code snippets. Either create a new repository, see it runs git init like I did, or push an existing repository. I'll just copy, push an existing repository, and I paste this code to my terminal. And now this project is synced up with Git. And now you can actually also just access my repository and view the repository in your browser. Most important thing at the very beginning, sync it up, because now you can actually like make it better. Can somebody tell me why it's important to separate like inputs, output, source code, and these kind of things? Lorenzo, any idea? Unmute.
So maybe if you run everything you have in the folder, you don't also run output as well.
Yeah. Could be true, because like let me see what John writes, because you may want to retrieve particular files instead of all. Yeah, true. Does this strike you as like a nice looking and clean overview? Probably not, right? Everything is like mixed. That is the primary reason of why you want to separate inputs, outputs, data, and these kind of things. Your reasons are correct too, but that's not the primary reason. So the way I do this is, let me do a source code folder, src, and let me just move all of my source code there. Do I have all? I think I do. Move to source. Now let me create an output folder and move all my outputs there. Let me create a data folder where the raw data gets stored. And let me create a temp folder where like temporary files are being stored that I don't really need afterwards, right? These help files like pivot table, aggregate, this is just like to produce the final output. This is not final output. I don't want anybody to look at it. The only thing that matters to anybody running this, after all, is like looking at the results, which are like PDF reports. So let me move those files here. Move to temp. So when I enter my source directory and I preview what make would now do, well, actually, I forgot to move the make file. So let me, well, the make file could also just stay here, I think. So let's go down and run make. Now, actually, make hasn't realized that all of those variables have like changed, right? There, I moved them to like different folders. So we have to update our make file. And I do this by introducing variables, which makes it much easier to handle that. Well, I don't do this. You can do this later, right? So plot unverb is an output, right? Plot all is an output. Reviews is in data. Listings 2. Download data is in source. Source. Aggregated df is in temp. Research project is in source. This is data, and this is data. And this is source. It takes a little while to do this. Output, oh no, this is temp. This is source. This is temp. This is source. Plot unverse, it's temp. No, this is output. And we got source, we got temp, we got source, and finally we got output, we got temp, we got source, and this is also in the source folder. Are we done? Not quite, because we also have to give directory names here. Download data and store it as data listings. Data reviews. Does this actually work? Not sure. We'll figure it out. Because whenever you engage into such an exercise, realize that, you know, your pipeline will be broken for sure. So instead of running all of those rules, the only thing that I want to pilot is my new try, just build the data reviews and data listings. If I run make and now, this is what gets executed. And let me check whether the data is actually put in the right folders. Make. So something downloaded, it doesn't sit in the source file, so it's good. Let me go to data. It was updated at 2:03. This is my time right now. All right, so it seems to have worked. Let me do it again, make. Nothing to be done for new try because things are up to date. Great. So let me do the next thing. Research project. By the way, what a shitty name. This used to be my main file, right? But, you know, this is just something. What is it? Clean data. So when you work on projects, realize that what you intended to write in a snippet is not really what it ends up being. So just rename it. There's no harm in that. And it makes your project more sustainable. So this is clean data and this is clean data.r. Let me try whether I can build it. And run make. Nothing to be done. So apparently everything is there. Does it also run if I wipe out all my, temporary files? Make. Nothing to be done for new try. That is weird because temp aggregated df, that doesn't exist, right? Because I just wiped it. Oh, I changed it here. I need to put it up here. That's where I want to build stuff. So again, make. And right now you'll see an error message, which is quite frequent that you get. Well, it wants to write these reviews. It wants to read those reviews, but it doesn't find them. Well, why is that? Well, we haven't updated the folder names yet. So let's do that too. Reviews.csv. It's in the data folder. And it's in the data folder. And also when we save, we want to store it in temp. Let me run it now. Make. Again, an error message. And that is something that looks frustrating because you're not used to getting errors. This is actually very pleasing because it gives you the chance to debug your script. So cannot open the file. It can't write to the temp folder because our temporary directory doesn't exist anymore. I just wiped it. So make sure to create directories before you write to them. Normal process, by the way. So now the temp folder is back and it also contains the aggregated file. I'm now able to proceed to the next stage and do the pivot table thing. And now I know that probably I have to go in the source code and change the folder names and like this. Type make again. It runs once, type make again, it doesn't run, so that's good, which means like make realizes it's been updated and it will not rerun. We'll carry this through now to the plot things by immediately opening up the source code and opening it from the temp folder and storing it in the output folder. Same with adverb. Opening it from temp and storing it in the output folder. I'm removing my prototype type rule and just say, well, how to build all? Well, just get me adverb and the all plots and I'm done. Make, and it will process these things. It's done. Typing make again and it realizes it is done. This takes, when you start out, hours because like practice makes you get here. What you need to remember is it's an iterative process. If you can't get your entire pipeline to automate, don't do it. Like just get the first step, automate, and realize when it's done. The typical things that go wrong: you haven't specified the directory name properly, you have used the wrong file name for the output, or you have not fully specified the dependencies. Like, what does the script need to run? And the way to do this is just look at the script, like export pivot, and look, well, what does it read? Oh, it reads this. What does it spit out? You know, that's kind of defines what it needs. And of course, it needs its file itself. All right. I feel like I want to save this history to like all my changes. And I see that, you know, the source code folder is recognized and I moved many files because I ignored all CSV and PDFs. It's pretty clean and I'm committing and I move code to source code and update makefile with dependencies. That's it. And I'm pushing, so you can also see what I did on the GitHub repository. I would say do a git clone or git fork and then clone and see whether it runs. So this is the thing. Just like check it out and see whether you get what I got. And by the way, I don't think you did because I forgot something. So obviously the output directory, temp and data, let me delete all of this and run make. And now the aggregated df can't be written, which means can't open data. Exactly. And still, like in this downloading thing, I also need to create the directory. Here, create data. And then in my Antwerp scripts, I also need to create the output directory in the case it hasn't been created before. Let me try to run it now, and I'm quickly updating the repository. And I'm pushing. And if you clone it now, it should run. Before I like pass on projects, typically I'll just clone them myself. I just go to some random folder like Delmi try out, and I check out my repository, git clone https github.com hannesdata dprep make files. I'll go into this directory and just type make. It's a completely new directory now. It doesn't know, right? Now everything needs to be created from scratch. It processes. Does it realize it's done? Well, type make again. No, nothing to be done. All it's gone. So for me, it builds, but maybe for you not. And then we can still figure it out. This is a very important exercise of what you need to do when you automate things. Check it out on different computers and see whether it still runs. I don't know whether I pushed everything's up to date, so that's good. Let me look at the poll again. Did actually some of those nobody went to the room to like do my awesome text mining tutorial. Fear of missing out, I guess. So we kind of cleaned it up, right? Does it run for you guys? Can you clone it? Who wants to try it? We'll look at your screen while you do.
So
Good. Show me
Okay.
what you got.
I create a make file
Yeah.
and I try to run in a terminal, but when I run like Meru to make target, the load data R needed to be reduced. I create a load data R here. I don't know if I do well.
The thing is, you did it good, but there's a typo. That's why it doesn't run. Download data, but in your make file, you said down a lot.
Oh, okay.
So let me fix this. It's happens to all of us, so no worries. But you haven't really have a rule to tell what to run, right? So, oh, well, actually, the first rule gets run. So type make now.
Okay.
Sabina, that's what you need to run. Like you go, like Sabina had a question in the chat, right? So after cloning, you just type make, right? Type make again, Alberto. You really have, preference for typos. So it says, like,
yeah, sorry.
fast. So it says, hey, I'm up to date, right? That's exactly the behavior. And now you can, yeah.
No, I misread. Sorry, my bad.
No, but it's like this is the typical stuff that you get. So yeah. And now you can extend. So what's the next step to automate this?
The file research project. You mean?
Yeah, take it, break it up into pieces.
Yeah, I have to create also automation for other command and like divide it in folder maybe.
Yeah, You could also do committing.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
But maybe I will do like later when I try to fix my connection.
Oh,
so-
of course.
Yeah.
Don't do it now, but yeah, that's exactly what I want. I'll show you something real quick to everybody. So I still have to move this somewhere else, but this is a checklist on Tilburg Science Hub for like projects. And I use this checklist if I work with other people and I tell them, hey, get your project in shape, right? And then that's the list that people would walk through. And it has all the things that I covered today, like, you know, implement consistent directory structure, data source generated, include the README. Well, we haven't done this. Store any authentication credentials outside of the project, mirror your data folder to secure backup locations. So that we haven't done yet, right? We still rely on data from inside Airbnb, but that site may go out of business tomorrow and then we can't conduct our research. So better move it to Google Drive and always pull it in from there. So you have like a fixed copy of things. So you can look at this checklist and, you know, edit this checklist if you find something else. Oops, sorry, this is the link. But, you know, have a make file. If you can't have a make file, at least have a README with running instructions. That's already a better step, so forth and so on. Version all source code, do not version any files. If you want to exclude, use git ignore. It's basically all the things that I have like thrown at you in our meetings before, but then summarized now. Okay, so check this out. It's very helpful, I guess. Alberto, I'm closing that screen, and I think I'm kind of done with my stuff, so I could like try to run this advanced text mining tutorial, but I'm also open for questions. So let me know what kind of questions you got. Is there anything that you still want to bring up? Anything?
Yeah, I have a question.
Yes, please.
I was able to run or finish the make tutorial and
Good.
everything worked fine, but my make file looked a bit different from the solution. So
Totally fine. Totally fine. Can you show it to me?
yes. Yeah, I think it's this one.
So can you just, yeah. So I already see some changes. What is different from my solution? What have you done? And it's perfectly fine, by the way. The make file is in the source code directory with you, right?
Yeah.
So for very complex projects, it's better to have make files inside these modules, the data prep modules and the analysis module, right? Because many times one team member only works in one pipeline. Like in one module, like data preparation or analysis, and you don't want to bug these persons of running the entire project if they could just like be happy with the data prep module. That is one thing. So there is a unique make file per module. So that's perfect, and probably this was my model solution too. So yes, you can do that too. Can you open the make file? Right click and then open in an editor, or right click, open with, and then RStudio or something like that. Just right click on it. Right click on it. I don't see it.
I do have it open, but
I only see Windows Explorer.
Oh yeah. Let me see if I can change.
Another difference that I see, which was also the model solution, obviously, was that I use variable names, you know, data and temp. I don't like, you know, write it out all the time, but I have defined variables on top of, you have defined variables on top of, like in the solution. And then you create directories inside your makefile, which is also fine with mkdir, right? Rather than using R. Maybe this was part of the model solution, but something that I would advise you do is do it in R, because mkdir is a command that's recognized maybe by Windows. It's also recognized by Mac, to be honest, right? But sometimes you're using commands that don't work on another operating system. So it's much safer for you to create directories in R, because R is platform independent, and then it will run, right?
Yeah, I think I ran this in git bash, I believe. The make.
Yeah, that's why. Yeah, but you know, I'm just giving you some tips. So there is no single one solution. Maybe that's the lesson learned here. Then 1,000 ways probably to tie things together in your project. You know, it all depends.
Okay.
Make sense?
Yeah. Yeah, thank you.
Good. And then maybe the final thing is because like, there's also something about relative and absolute directories here, right? So you go by my principle because I violated my own principle today. For me, the working directory is always the directory in which a file is located. So when you are in the source code download, to find the data, you need to go down twice, dash. Can you show that on the screen? Mark it up. Yes, exactly. Dash. So in your source directory, to go to downloads, you go down one and another one down, and then you enter data. But the way I have written makefiles today in this class is that everything is relative to the main project directory. So to enter data, you don't do ... to go back, but you just go and enter the data directory because it's directly under the root directory. It's something that sounds confusing and you'll get the gist eventually. So, make sense?
Yeah.
Cool, Sam. And it runs?
Yeah, it does run. And I can also like clean the data or make clean and then do it again.
Nice. Very good. That was it for today. We did cover many other things offline, so to say, without the recording. But thanks a bunch for watching. Be in contact with me on WhatsApp if you need my support. A little look ahead. So we have, oh, this is not the course, dPrep. A little look ahead, schedule. So where are we? We've just covered pipeline building and automation, and there's going to be plenty of time for coaching, actually 2 big coaching sessions next week. So I'll share the Google link on Canvas for you to sign up for these coaching sessions. And what do we expect you to do is look at the work plan, and it's coaching 3. So start automating your pipeline, refine source code. The first thing that I'll do when I meet you is git clone. The second thing that I'll do is make, and I want it to run. If it throws error, don't you worry, right? We're going to fix those, but that's a little where I focus. And then the 4th coaching is going to be on the deployment. But of course, we can cover anything. Thanks a bunch, Sabine.